West, y'all.
All right, let's go straight to the Eels. The Eels season, man, yeah, I guess Brad Arthur seemed to be the scapegoat early. But man, very much in the same boat as these bottom, like the Rabbits and West. Yeah, like that early in the season to be playing for nothing was crazy for these guys. Again, that roster. So it just goes to, again, similar kind of themes, like the administration, like the fact that these guys all have these kind of random clauses causing a lot of disruption. It just seems like more was happening. Like Marcus Sivo played well at the end of the season, but yeah, just really dropped off the fact that he needed to go down to New South Wales. Yeah, I think it's just not all firing at the same time. I mean, Mitch Moses, firing good enough to be able to get that jersey. I guess we all know that's kind of because without Nathan, everyone else kind of comes up a peg. But yeah, real hard one to put your finger on what's wrong with the Eels. They got big forwards, they got talented backs, awesome halves. Like it's the recipe for a decent team. Again, like the squad, everyone's there, and when they're on song, they look great. Yeah, maybe the defense is terrible, just lacking.
How many games did Mitchell Moses miss? Because he had a couple of injuries.
After Origin, pretty much everything after Origin.
Yeah, I think he was gone after Origin, but before that, was it the foot fracture that he had?
Oh yes, I think started the season late as well. So I don't know. Yeah, it's just
Blaize Talangi's a positive. Blaize Talangi's a positive out of that. All of that.
Well, he's leaving. Positive that he's leaving.
No, the emergence.
Positive turned into a negative.
The emergence of Blaize Talagi during their season, even though he was a shining light despite the results or the lack thereof. But yeah, going to the Panthers, even puts a nail on that one.
I read somewhere that 11 of their squad are leaving at the end of this year.
Wow.
So they're losing 11 of that top flight.
Well, they let him go, eh? And then Gus Gould was saying how he was probably their most consistent player and how they're letting him go. Go figure.
Yeah, boys, anyone else want to add to these Eels? I'm trying to have a look at if they've got any decent buys coming.
Yeah, no, I thought they're one of these teams that were, on paper, had one of the better rosters, but then a couple of injuries here and there. I don't think they have much. They've got a bit of an aging pack. And like when you take Bolo out of there, you got Offengo, you got these guys. Just not really much depth underneath them. But like you said, with that game they won against the Panthers, and then one they choked on, they lost. It was still once they can get their offloading game, but basically their season was done when Mitchell Moses was done for the year, because he was out for a large part of that first half. He came back and played 2 games, and it was enough to get him to Origin, but they were a different team with him. And I thought they might be able to go for a run, but yeah, maybe it's their pack, hey? I don't know. Just inconsistent, man. I had them in my head, I think.
Weird, you think the Eels, they were in a grand final, only 2 years ago. Yeah. So they missed the playoffs last year, and then they're in a wooden spoon bowl only this weekend, just gone. So that's a massive fall from grace for them. But I'm with you, Tons. It's the administration. So the Eels are like almost a poster child for corporate mismanagement. So when you think that they decided to give Brad Arthur sort of half of the season to prove himself, it became clear that it wasn't working. So they sort of hastily sacked him, and they're trying to get Wayne Bennett, and that didn't eventuate either. So they're left with this interim coach that no one really wants. They've got a new head coach. They've just signed someone who he wasn't an elite guy for next year.
Yeah, have they named
and Yeah, they're 1 win away in the final round from winning the wooden spoon. So, Roger, you mentioned Blaize Talagi. He's their most promising youngster, and he's leaving next season. So
didn't want to stick around for another
the people that are in charge of that club.
Yeah,
you have to question the people who are in charge of that club, because ultimately, I think that's where it all went wrong for them. Their admin's not sorted. until they fix that, I don't see them moving out of the bottom 8 for a while.
I mean, they should have seen that coming. That Blaize or his agent would have been looking around for him. Do you think they did enough to try and? Obviously, they didn't. But obviously, it didn't eventuate that way. But could they have done more to try and get a young gun like that to stay? Or obviously, or would there nothing be for him to stick around for, given the results this year? Maybe he wanted to be in a successful environment.
But why was he even on the market is my question. They should have wrapped him up a long time ago.
Yeah.
He's only rookie, so he'd be only getting minimal money.
And that's probably what they didn't do. They must.
They probably got some issues, but. Sorry, carry on, Watch.
No. Obviously it's something that they didn't either bank on or they just fumbled that one. Hey. Maybe they thought they were going to
that's sort of what I'm coming back to. Their biggest issue. Their biggest issue. Their administration. Now the Tigers are sort of their side out. It looks like the Eels have taken the mantle as being the worst. Their corporate leaders are pretty poor.
All right.
Brad was their coach for ages, though.
Yeah.
Like he was looking like he was going to be on the outer a couple of years ago, and then they had that massive run where the players backed after them, like, no, we got to play for our coach. We love him.
That was 2022.
And they took all the way to the grand final. Then I was like, oh, well, I guess vindicated keeping Brad Arthur in, but he's been their coach since 2014. It's like, oh wow, it's a massive tenure for him, and then to be dismissed the way he was.
Well, 10 years is long enough for them to know, what they're getting from Brad Arthur, and that was essentially his roster. That's just fallen off a cliff. So again, they sort of were half pregnant. We'll give you half a chance and all the rest of it. But if they sort of cut the cord into last year, they could have made a real legitimate play for Wayne Bennett, who hadn't signed anything with South or anything.
Yeah.
So then it's a different story, and that comes back to the corporate mismanagement that I was talking about earlier.
Well, especially as a fan base, you kind of go, oh, we could have gone early, then we went early, like halfway this year, missed the guy, and it's like now we've got a dud season, and the next year, who is this guy that's going to lead us? So, glad it's not my team. Anyway.